Part of this is just rock music, so I'm going to mute it. But anyway, now let's analyze the combatants in order of appearance. Starting off with Stegosaurus, standing 16 feet tall, measuring up to 9 meters long, and weighing more than 3 tons. Stegosaurus had much shorter limbs in front than in back, so its back, which was aligned with large bony triangular plates, appeared arced from the neck to the hip. Instead of claws, its hands and feet had evolved to broad, blunt-hoofed feet. Now, even the longest Stegosaurus specimens are not even that long. An average Stegosaurus stenops reached 6.5 meters in length, while an average Stegosaurus ungulatus, I think that's how you pronounce it, sorry if I butchered that, reached 7 meters in length. There is a possible Stegosaurus species, quote-unquote ungulatus, which measured in 7.8 meters long. Now let's talk about the mass, weighing more than 3 tons, which is correct. The Stegosaurus stenops, an average one, weighed around 3.5 metric tons, while Stegosaurus ungulatus, an average one, reached 3.8 metric tons. The largest possible species or taxon weighed around 8 tons, and about its plates, it varies between species. Stegosaurus stenops have been found articulated in 2 staggered rows rather than paired. Stegosaurus ungulatus plates were in pairs. Based on the relative length of its front and back legs, it's clear that Stegosaurus was not a fast runner, but used its most distinctive feature, its plated hide, as armor to protect itself from attack. Stegosaurus used its plates for temperature regulation, but the keratin-covered plates of Stegosaurus probably didn't provide the animal with much additional protection. Not projection, but protection. Sorry. Evidence suggests that Stegosaurus was not merely a passive victim of attacks, but used its spiked tail known as a stegomizer to fight back, which is correct, but still, I'm getting sick and tired of herbivores being treated as cannon fodder. As shown by its leaf-shaped teeth, Stegosaurus ate only plants. Stegosaurus had around 78 triangular, small, flat teeth. Also, if it were to only eat plants, it would just die. There is literally real footage of herbivores eating meat to supplement their proteins. Like Raptor said, think of herbivore and carnivore as something like a scale, not black or white, whatever. An herbivore doesn't always eat plants, and a carnivore doesn't always eat meat. This logic also applies to the Stegosaurus. Possible predators include any number of larger carnivorous dinosaurs of the period, including Allosaurus and Ceratosaurus. While the Allosaurus likely hunted Stegosaurus, the Ceratosaurus didn't. Like, they both serve different niches. They don't need to compete with each other. The Ceratosaurus is a generalist predator that ate smaller things, while the Allosaurus was one of the apex predators of its environment, along with Torvosaurus and Saurophaganax. It would make sense if an Allosaurus hunted a Stego, but about Cerato, no, I'm not having it. Now let's move on to Ceratosaurus. Ceratosaurus stood 13 feet tall, measured 20 feet long, and weighed 1.5 to 2 tons. While 6 meters is correct, the height of the Ceratosaurus is just too much. Like, is it Slenderman or something? Also, it weighed around 600 kilograms, not even a ton. If it weighed 1.5 to 2 tons, it's going to be a Nikocado avocado. The Nikocado avocado of 6 meter dinosaurs. 6 meter in length dinosaurs. It had distinctive horn, actually an expanded nasal crest on its snout and 2 smaller ones in its brow. But what we're shown here is something that could be used as a weapon. The Ceratosaurus horns were likely for display and not for combat. Its name means hornless and row of bony plates down in the middle of its back. Now, as ridiculous as it may sound, in 2020, there is actually evidence. Several dermal ossifications were found with a type specimen of Ceratosaurus nasicornis, and some of these were so retained in the matrix as to indicate their exact position in relation to the internal skeleton of the living animal. The position of these ossicles would appear to include a continuous row of dermal ossifications extending along the median line of the back from the base of the skull went down on the tail, if not the greater part of its length. But what we're showing here is an outdated version. Anyway, let's continue. Another horned meat-eating dinosaur was Carnotaurus saastri, a relative of Dinosaurs and probably most famous in the Abelisaur family and a possible descendant of Ceratosaurus, which is correct, I guess, being about half the size of its contemporary rival Allosaurus. No, they didn't compete with each other because of different niches. Anyway, Ceratosaurus was still a fierce meat-eating hunter. Ceratosaurus was more likely a generalist predator than anything, really. Its four-fingered hands, primitive for theropods, edited sharp claws and killed its prey with large blade-like teeth. However, it was an ambush predator and wasn't normally a dinosaur that would engage in a fight. Despite this, Ceratosaurus would fight another dinosaur depending on circumstances, which is wrong. Well, mostly wrong. How about that? Maybe Ceratosaurus competed with other Ceratosaurus, but still, it's not very likely. Ceratosaurus may have hunting groups, and evidence suggests that it competed with Allosaurus for prey, including herbivores such as iguanodons, stegosaurs, and even the giant sauropods. Okay, so one, even if they do hunt in groups, they may as well hunt in loose gangs instead of packs like wolves. And second, it didn't compete with Allosaurus at all. Allosaurus hunted the larger stegosaurs and sauropods of its environment. There's a reason why Ceratosaurus and Allosaurus coexisted with each other peacefully, and it's because they didn't compete with each other. Ceratosaurus, however, was more primitive in size, intelligence, and hunting habits compared to most predatory dinosaurs of the time and place, and more often hunted in pairs rather than in whole packs. Okay, so one, what do you mean primitive in size? Like, Dilophosaurus. What do you mean primitive size? It's not making sense. Second, Ceratosaurus wasn't more primitive in intelligence. The Ceratosaurus was of average intelligence on par with other predators of its environment. Primitive, it's called more basal, but Ceratosaurus wasn't more basal than the Allosaurus. In fact, the Ceratosaurus might possibly be the Ceratosaurus is just as evolved as Allosaurus. This is like saying Zlatan Ibrahimovic is less evolved than Cristiano Ronaldo. And also, what do you mean primitive hunting habits? It doesn't even remotely make sense, and the pair hunting is basically just an over-speculation. Let's move on to Allosaurus. Allosaurus was the very first giant predatory dinosaur that ever lived in North America and was among the largest carnivores of the Jurassic period, measuring 30 to 40 feet long, standing about 13 to 16 feet tall, weighing up to 3 to 5 tons, and moving at a top speed about 30 miles per hour. The Allosaurus was also one of the largest predatory dinosaurs on Earth. Allosaurus had an average length of 8.5 meters and a mass of 1.7 metric tons, with the largest definitive Allosaurus specimen, AMNH 680, estimated at 9.7 meters long, with an estimated weight of 2.3 to 2.7 metric tons, which is still lighter than the lower estimate of JFC Allosaurus. There's another allosaur called Saurophaganax that reached 10.5 meters, 34 feet in length, and 2.7 to 3.8 metric tons, which fits the range better, so we can assume that this Allosaurus was indeed a Saurophaganax. Thanks, Paleo Nerd. The Allosaurus could reach speed of around 19 to 34 or 21 to 35 miles per hour. They walked on two legs and had relatively long forearms with 3 fingers, each one tipped with a long, sharp claw. Its 3-foot-long head was marked by a distinctive pair of bony ridges above and in front of its eyes. Allosaurus used its tail for balance and killed its prey with the sharp talons on its forelimbs. Didn't the Allosaurus use its head? I'm pretty sure an Allosaurus wouldn't want to break its arms every single time trying to scratch others with its hand claws. Powerful neck muscles enabled it to drive its saber-like teeth into the tough hide of its prey, while its hinged jaw meat could swallow large amounts of meat whole. But, the axe hatchet theory is, disproven. Allosaurus was the biggest meat eater in North America during the late Jurassic period. Well, good job, you made Tovosaurus and Saurophagonax cry again. Evidence suggests that its likely victims were herbivores such as ornithischian dinosaurs or the sauropod Apatosaurus. But the Apatosaurus is just too big, bro. Being that it was a large predator and favored large prey, Allosaurus might have hunted in packs to capture these much larger dinosaurs and might have even done the same with aggressive smaller prey such as Stegosaurus. Was JFC the patient zero of the pack hunting virus? Well, I can excuse that in Jurassic Park, but something trying to be educational, a documentary like JFC. No. On the bright side, Stegosaurus is not treated as cannon fodder, but it's still portrayed as passive, which is wrong. You know how aggressive herbivores can be? Like, I'm more terrified to see an herbivore than a carnivore of the same size. Because herbivores, when herbivores deem you as a threat, they will immediately kill you. Carnivores only kill you for food, and they wouldn't want to waste energy trying to hunt something that is not worth their effort. It may have faced competition from its prey from the carnivorous Ceratosaurus. No, it didn't. Its most likely competitors were Tovosaurus and Saurophagonax, and even they didn't compete much. Moving on to the final one, which is Camarasaurus. Much smaller than most of its fellow sauropods, the Camarasaurus could still grow to reach 20 feet tall at the hips, measure up to 18 meters long, and weigh as much as 30 to 50 tons. I think that's a bit too heavy. Hell, even JFC said that the Camarasaurus is 20 tons in mass, which is a lower estimate of 20 to 40 tons. Also, Camarasaurus lentus was about 15 meters in length, but Supremus had 23 meters in length. Actually, this info, if they were talking about Camarasaurus supremus, then 47 metric tons be fair, but I don't think they were talking about Camarasaurus supremus. The most likely one shown here was Camarasaurus lentus, and a 20-ton to 40-ton estimate would be better for lentus. Because it would be better for this JFC Camarasaurus, because the Camarasaurus here doesn't look like it is as large as the Camarasaurus supremus. As long, sorry. Anyway, let's continue. It walked on 4 thick legs with a long tail, neck, and a small head with a blunt snout and large nostrils. There are other sauropods as well, like Apatosaurus, Diplodocus, Brachiosaurus, Tributosaurus, Amphicelius, Seismosaurus, and Ultrasaurus. Okay, so Tributosaurus lived in a completely different time period in the Ceratosaurus Formation at the Albian stage around 110 million years ago. Seismosaurus is just a larger species of Diplodocus known as Diplodocus halorum. And Ultrasaurus is just a nomen dubium, and Ultrasauros, the S-A-U-R-U-S, replace the the U between the R and S with O. Jensen. Jim Jensen's one also made a mistake. Now, his discovery was a chimera. The collection of fossils came from 2 different dinosaur species, both of which already had names. So this Ultrasauros is now just an alternate name for the dinosaur officially known as Supersaurus. Anyway, why am I talking about other sauropods when I'm supposed to talk about a Camarasaurus? Anyway, let's continue. Evidence has been found that Camarasaurus probably traveled in herds of older and younger members, perhaps so that adults could protect their young. Its most effective protection against attack was its superior size. Also, like most sauropods, Camarasaurus could also use its long, massive tail in the fight, using it to strike away predators as big as Allosaurus, its most dangerous predator. Now, I don't know if Camarasaurus used its tail for defense. In my video about Brightside, I mentioned that the Diplodocus could not use its tail like a whip. So, but Camarasaurus one, I'm still not sure. Most likely not, though. Camarasaurus had large, spoon-shaped teeth, perfect for eating the plants that were its main diet. Its predators include the large meat-eating dinosaurs of the region, including Allosaurus. Camarasaurus' teeth were more developed than those of most sauropods. They may have chewed their food to some degree before swallowing. Anyway, now that we're done with the analysis, let's begin. Now, I'll say it again, a part of this is just rock music, so yeah. Okay, so at the beginning, a mother Stegosaurus and her son were walking, then their legs got stuck in mud. They're having trouble trying to struggle out. This moment, a Ceratosaurus comes in for food. Its leg posture makes it so that it doesn't get stuck in mud, but at the same time, it doesn't make sense because the juvenile Stegosaurus was likely the same mass as the Ceratosaurus, like the juvenile Stegosaurus I'm talking about. It doesn't matter if your leg posture is different, realistically, the Ceratosaurus should still get stuck. Anyways, the Ceratosaurus wisely attacks the juvenile Stegosaurus' flanks, where it's vulnerable. The juvenile Stegosaurus dies and the Ceratosaurus begins to feast. It's around this time where a group of 3 Saurophagonax appear. They see the Ceratosaurus and they want some of the food too. But the Ceratosaurus just refuses. Now, this scene is really wrong. Again, these guys didn't compete with each other. Now, if you look closely, one of the Saurophagonax steps on the Stegosaurus's neck, the mother Stegosaurus's neck. Given the Saurophagonax's mass, the mother Stegosaurus's neck should have been broken. I guess the mother Stegosaurus's neck was made of adamantium or something. Then the Ceratosaurus gets flipped by one of the Saurophagonax, and the Ceratosaurus just got stomped in the neck, and the Ceratosaurus died. A foreshadowing of what's to come, and also, why aren't you guys eating the Ceratosaurus? Why aren't you guys eating the dead juvenile? They're both dead. Why do these Saurophagonax have to just go after the mother Stegosaurus first, when they could just feast on the dead juvenile and the Ceratosaurus? Why even bother trying to kill something that you're not going to eat? It's just a waste of energy, man. You must have the mentality of the Indominus Rex from Jurassic World, or a real-life Montosaurus that is basically an oversized hippo. See, what did I tell you? This is such a dumb decision, and to call this smart is just... One of the Saurophagonax gets killed by the Stegosaurus' Dagomizer. Also, the mother Stego has been called a he, but, pronouns issue, maybe the mother Stegosaurus uses he, him pronouns. I have no idea. Maybe the mother Stegosaurus uses he, she pronouns. So, I'm not going to complain about that. Anyways, a herd of Camarasaurus comes in. They're just walking when the bowl gets stuck. Now, I have a question coming up later about the other 2 family members. Right about now. Now. As you can see, the other 2 Camarasaurs are gone, so did they just leave the bull Camarasaurs to die while leaving the scene at sonic speed? Bro! I'm sorry, but where did they come from? Do they have some kind of wizardry that allows them to disappear and then appear? Now, the Saurophagonax could just continue attacking the Stegosaurus, or go after the Camarasaurus, or just eat the dead juvenile Ceratosaurus so they don't have to risk their lives anymore. Anyway, they just stupidly decide to go after the Camarasaurus, even though they're like 1 bite away from a nice Stegosaurus meal. And, the Dinosaur George called it a wise decision. No, I'm serious. These drunk Saurophagonax are hailed smart by George Blazing. I'm pretty sure now it has audio, so, let's get to the audio.
Saurus. a Stegosaurus wielding his lethal tail spikes.
Again, I'm not really going to complain about the pronoun issue of the mother Stego.
Has killed one of the unsuspecting Allosaurus.
Given that the Allosaurus, aka Saurophagonax, likely had eyes facing its side, I feel like the Saurophagonax should have seen it coming. Yeah, the Saurophagonax saw it coming. It wasn't a surprise, it was just its own stupidity.
The fight shifts as the surviving Allosaurs focus their attention on a Camarasaurus stuck in the mud. Using their two key weapons, sharp teeth and vicious claws.
How would they use their claws as weapons? They use their jaws, not their claws. It's the Saurophagonax committing self-harm and mutilation by just breaking its wrists every time. Maybe its wrists are made of adamantium or something. Not adamantium. Something stronger than adamantium. I don't know what is stronger than adamantium. And even adamantium cannot hold these arms together. They're so pronated, jeez.
They inflict serious wounds.
Also, how could the Saurophagonax jump like that? Saurophagonax was likely too heavy to jump.
If they can make the kill, the predators can feast for days. The Camarasaurus, despite being at a clear disadvantage, wages a strong self-defense. The Allosaurus stalk their prey, looking for a weak spot.
If one of the Allosauruses can get to the soft skin of the neck, they might be able to sever a major artery or cut off the air to the lungs. That will absolutely end this battle and bring down their behemoth prey.
The Allosaurus circle their prey. They use an anatomical adaptation to their advantage, splayed toes.
Given the juvenile got stuck in the mud, I think the Saurophagonax should get stuck in the mud as well. Like their splayed toes likely didn't help that much.
The Allosauruses don't get stuck in the mud like the Camarasaurus for two reasons. Number one, they don't weigh as much.
But how about a juvenile Stego that is lighter?
But number two, they have a remarkable adaptation. It's the design of their foot. Like modern birds, their toes are splayed out in three different directions. This configuration gives them incredible traction when they're running at high speeds, but it also gives them stability. And the weight of the body is distributed between these three toes and not straight down, as in the foot of Camarasaurus. They work like snowshoes, keeping the body from breaking through the upper hard crust while allowing them unimpeded movement across the lake bed.
One of the Allosaurus attacks. The Camarasaurus is quick to respond.
Like a freight train, the impact crushes the ribs and splinters the arms of Allosaurus and drives its own humerus deep into its chest.
The momentum of the tail allows the Camarasaurus's front legs to become free.
Now, I have a question to ask. Earlier you saw one of the Saurophagonax get literally body slammed by the Camarasaurus, and the Saurophagonax got up just fine. However, when the other Saurophagonax gets whipped by the tail, it dies instantly. There is literally no consistency here.
Using the power in its rear legs, it raises its body. The other Allosaurus darts in.
The Allosaurus can't stop. Its momentum literally drives it directly under the foot of the massive sauropod.
Now, why is the Saurophagonax literally charging under the Camarasaurus' legs? It's going to 100% get itself killed, and there's no one to blame but itself.
With its massive weight, the Camarasaurus crushes its last remaining rival. But its victory would be short-lived. With all of its energy spent, and once again firmly stuck in the mud, the Camarasaurus is condemned to a slow, agonizing death.
As well as the Mama Stegosaurus. I feel like the only one I should feel bad for is the Ceratosaurus. The only one I really feel bad for is the Ceratosaurus, because the Ceratosaurus did nothing stupid. Like, the Stegosaurus and the Camarasaurus were kinda deserving of their their demise, but not nearly as much as the Saurophagonax, which are just drunk drivers, dude. Like Red Raptor said, these Saurophagonax are literally equivalent of drunk drivers.
The Allosaurus was so focused on the fact that Camarasaurus was stuck, it wasn't in top predator mode. That meant it got in too close. Never in its wildest imagination would it have thought that that Camarasaurus would shift its center of gravity, free those giant front feet, and crush that Allosaurus like it was a bug.
Camarasaurus may have triumphed over Allosaurus in this fight, but in the ultimate battle for survival, they and all the other dinosaurs at the lake would lose.
How to make an alternative scene to this? Okay, so there is a Stegosaurus corpse. There's two Stegosaurus corpse, one adult, one juvenile. The Allosaurus just come in, feast on it. These predators just feast on it. Camarasaurus as well. These predators feast on it. They all get stuck and die. That's it. No crazy battles. No nothing. It was just that. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. See you all next time.